This story is written and narrated to honor the brilliant yet overlooked scientist Rosalind Franklin, a woman whose mind illuminated the very code of life, but whose name was nearly erased from its history. Based on true events from the golden age of molecular biology, this story reveals the truth behind one of the greatest scientific discoveries ever made, the structure of DNA, and the woman whose work made it possible. The main character, Rosalind Franklin, stands as a symbol of intellect, integrity, and perseverance. A woman who sought truth, not fame, and in doing so, unlocked the secret that defines every living being on Earth. The year was 1951, a time when science was dominated by men in white lab coats and women were often confined to the sidelines, their brilliance dimmed by tradition. But among the bustling halls of 𝗗𝗶𝘀𝗁𝗃 College, London, walked a woman whose presence demanded quiet respect. Her stride was steady, her eyes sharp behind round glasses, and her voice calm yet firm. Her name was Rosalind Franklin, and she was about to change the course of human history. She didn't set out to be a revolutionary. She simply sought truth through precision, logic, and light. For her, discovery wasn't about fame or recognition. It was about clarity, about seeing the invisible architecture that held the universe together. And through the lens of her X-ray camera, she would soon capture something no human eye had ever truly seen: the hidden blueprint of life itself. Rosalind was born in 1920, into a world that didn't quite know what to do with a woman who thought like a scientist. From an early age, she showed a fierce intellect, meticulous, curious, and unafraid to question authority. While other children played, Rosalind asked questions that bent the boundaries of reason. What makes us alive? Why do cells grow and divide? What lies within the smallest parts of ourselves? Her curiosity became her compass. After excelling at Cambridge, she entered the world of physical chemistry, a field so exact, so demanding, that it required both patience and genius. And Rosalind had both in abundance. Her early work took her to Paris, where she mastered the technique that would define her legacy: X-ray crystallography, a powerful method to determine the atomic structure of molecules by analyzing the patterns formed when X-rays hit a crystal. To most, it was an art of shadows and math, meaningless streaks and dots on photographic film. But to Rosalind, it was language. Each pattern, each ring, each blur of light told a story. The story of atoms bound in the dance of life. It was in Paris that she found freedom, respected as a scientist, admired for her precision and unburdened by prejudice. Yet destiny called her back to England, to King's College, London, where the greatest race in modern science was quietly unfolding. The race to uncover the structure of DNA, the molecule that carries the genetic instructions of life. When Rosalind arrived, DNA was still a mystery, a riddle of biology and chemistry intertwined. Scientists around the world were desperate to solve it, to find the shape that contained the secret of inheritance. Was it a triple helix, a ladder, a spiral of unknown design? No one knew. And at King's College, tensions were high. Rosalind was assigned to work with Maurice Wilkins, another researcher in the field. But from the start, there was confusion and conflict. The lab expected her to act as his assistant. She believed rightly that she was his equal. The misunderstanding created a silent divide, one that would have consequences history would never forget. Rosalind threw herself into her work, driven not by competition but by perfection. Her equipment was old, her lab unwelcoming, but her vision was unwavering. She refined the X-ray camera, adjusted every beam and angle with mathematical care, and began taking photographs of DNA fibers with unprecedented clarity. The air in the lab was thick with dust, chemicals, and tension, but in the dim red glow of her workspace, she captured something extraordinary. On one cool, quiet day in 1952, as the machine hummed and the film developed in its chemical bath, an image emerged. Photo 51. To anyone else, it looked like a blur of black and white lines forming a faint X, but to Rosalind it was revelation, a sign of symmetry and pattern, the unmistakable fingerprint of a helix. Photo 51 would become one of the most important images in scientific history. the first clear evidence that DNA was a double helix, its strands winding around each other like a spiral staircase holding the essence of life. But destiny can be cruel, and science, though noble, is not immune to ambition. Without her knowledge or consent, Maurice Wilkins showed that photograph to two other scientists, James Watson and Francis Crick, at Cambridge. The moment they saw it, they realized they had the missing piece of their puzzle. Rosalind's precision had given them the key to unlock the secret structure of DNA. Within weeks, Watson and Crick built their famous model, piecing together the ladder of life, adenine to thymine, guanine to cytosine, and published their findings in Nature in 1953. History would remember their names, but Rosalind's remained buried in the shadows of that discovery. She was not included in the paper that announced the double helix to the world, nor credited for the image that made it possible. Her colleagues described her as difficult, rigid, hard to work with, but those who truly knew her saw something else, a woman standing alone against a system not built to see her worth. She wasn't bitter, she was focused. After Watson and Crick's triumph, Rosalind moved on, pouring her energy into studying viruses, mapping their structures with the same brilliance she had brought to DNA. Her new work laid the groundwork for understanding RNA and viral genetics, discoveries that would later fuel medical research for decades. But as her career soared, her health began to fade. The same X-rays that had illuminated the secrets of life were slowly stealing her own. Long hours in the lab, surrounded by radiation, had taken their toll. In 1958, at just 37 years old, Rosalind Franklin died of ovarian cancer. She never saw her work fully recognized, never heard the applause she deserved. 4 years later, in 1962, the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine was awarded to Watson, Crick, and Wilkins for discovering the structure of DNA. Rosalind's name was not mentioned. The rules stated that Nobel Prizes could not be awarded posthumously, but even in life she had been excluded. Yet time, as it often does, corrected the silence. In the decades that followed, scientists and historians unearthed the truth that Rosalind's data, her images, her relentless pursuit of accuracy, were not just contributions but the foundation of the entire discovery. The double helix, that elegant symbol of life, was built upon her vision. The world began to rediscover her story, to write her back into the history she had helped create. She became not just the woman behind DNA, but a symbol of all the brilliant minds history had overlooked. Today, when we speak of the code of life, we speak also of Rosalind Franklin, the woman who refused to compromise her integrity for recognition. She didn't chase fame, she chased truth. Her legacy is not only in the structure of DNA, but in the lesson she left behind, that science, at its purest, is not a competition of names, but a collaboration of minds. Every discovery stands on the shoulders of those who came before, and Rosalind's shoulders were among the strongest of them all. The climax of her story is not in the betrayal or the loss, but in the endurance of her impact. Every time a gene is sequenced, every time a doctor reads a patient's DNA to understand disease, every time a scientist unlocks a new part of life, mystery, Rosalind's fingerprints are there. Her vision continues to pulse through the laboratories of the world, through the microscopes and the minds of those who believe that truth, no matter how long it takes, will always find the light. Her story reminds us that sometimes greatness is quiet. It doesn't always come with applause, awards, or recognition. Sometimes it is a woman standing alone in a dark lab, illuminated only by the glow of her X-ray machine, capturing the invisible, and trusting that one day the world will see it too. Rosalind Franklin's life was short, but her light eternal. She revealed the code of life itself, and though history tried to erase her, the truth of her brilliance remains written in every cell, every heartbeat, and every living being on Earth. She helped us understand who we are, at our most fundamental level, and in doing so, she proved that even in the silence of injustice, truth has its own voice, echoing through time. So the next time you hear the words double helix, remember the woman who made it visible, not for glory, not for power, but for the pursuit of knowledge itself. Rosalind Franklin, the forgotten architect of life and design, who saw the beauty of existence in a pattern of light and left behind a legacy that no shadow could ever dim.